What's up, everybody? Aaron Smith here with the Real Estate Momentum Podcast, and it is January of 2023. And I like to stay in touch with people a lot, and I'm hearing a lot of questions about what's going on in the market right now. So I want to do a 2022 year in review with the real estate market. And this may seem like a little bit more of a ramble. It's because I've got live information in front of me right here. We're going to be sharing my screen. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out our YouTube channel. The links will be in this post wherever you're finding this. But I want you to check out the YouTube channel because you'll be able to see the screen that I'm sharing here with all the stats and data that go along with what happened in my local market, Northern Kentucky. We also sell in Cincinnati, but I track the data in Northern Kentucky daily. I look at this stuff because if I know the market like the back of my hand, I can relay this information to my clients, and that's how they win. So I'm just going to hop right into this. I've got a spreadsheet here, and in 2022, I'm just going to go right to the top of my spreadsheet, which is where I keep the sold data. And we started off January right on par. Right. So the number of sales that happened in January of 2022 were right on par. And then that's where things fell off in terms of number of units. So everything you're going to hear me talk about here is number of units. That tells us what the market's actually doing. Price points, we'll dig into the price points here in just a second too. But in terms of number of units, we were 3% to 4% up in January. And then over the course of the year, things fell off. February, we were down about 19%. And then through the summer, we held on tight. We were really close through the summer, or up until mid-June or so. What you're going to see in this chart is right about the middle of the year, the Fed raised the interest rates, thus further increasing mortgage rates. It's not a direct impact when the Fed raises the interest rate. However, the banks do need to react, and things do follow that Fed interest rate eventually. So when the interest rates went from let's call it the mid threes, 3.25 to 3.675-ish, when they started climbing up, they went quick. And that was right about the middle of 2022. And when they went up, I think they kind of peaked around that 7.25 range. And then you notice right about mid to late summer, August, September, things start to really fall in terms of number of sales. Now, you're going to see a lot of numbers in the negative here, but you really don't start to see number of units drop significantly until September. So September was down 15% in sales. October was down 21%. And then you kind of keep going. And in December, we were down over 35% in number of units. You average all that out throughout the entire year. 2021, there were about 7,850 houses that sold in Northern Kentucky. Those are houses, not sides, buy side, sell side. Those are just houses. In 2022, 6,911. So it dropped by about 9.1%. When it comes to the total number of units that sold in the Northern Kentucky market. That's a lot. When you look at December of 2021, 723 homes sold, and then December of 2022, only 458 homes sold. Why did that happen? So 2022, we experienced a significant drop in demand. If you zoom out for a second and you think, okay, well, interest rates have been low since, I'd say they've been low since the market collapse of 2008. Rates were in that 6% range. COVID hit, rates are back down to, I think I saw a 30-year fixed mortgage go for 2.5%. So you got to think about what motivates people to move. During the pandemic times, what motivated a lot of people to move is that they were kind of pulled into their house. They were working from home. They realized they were spending more time there, so they wanted to enjoy that space more. And so they upgraded their house. They got some closer to family. They moved a little bit further away from work since they didn't need to drive in every day. And they got these really sweet interest rates. Well, let's just imagine that you're sitting on a 3% interest rate today and rates have gone up to 7%. It's something significant is going to have to happen in your life to cause you to want to sell. That's going to be you either added a family member, you lost a family member, you blended a family, got a new job, relocated, something like that. Something big, significant is going to have to happen. But I want to show you, so we're going to go down, scroll down here a little bit further down the line and see some other charts that I follow. So this is 2022, active and pending data. So we started off the year, the red line on this chart that I'm showing here, this red line that's the number of homes that are under contract. If you wanted to go buy one of these homes that's under contract, you couldn't because another buyer has it under a legally binding agreement. The blue line are homes that are listed, but they're not under contract. So this is the inventory that we're playing with here. If you and I wanted to team up and go buy a house right now, these would be the homes that we would have to pick from that haven't already been bought. So you can see this is a typical curve throughout a year's time. You're going to start low in terms of number of sales in the wintertime. So January, February, we're going to start taking off in March. And then you're going to see at the end of each month, each one of these little tick lines here, at the end of each month, it's going to drop because a lot of home sales close at the end of each month, but you can see it still climbs. And then it usually is going to peak right there about June 30th. And then you got back to school and vacation time, and then you settle into back to school time, right? What you can kind of gain by looking at this chart is the number of homes available for purchase as the year goes on that do not have contracts on them is climbing. So inventory is climbing a little bit. And then you've got the demand that is slowly starting to taper off. People in this July 1st to September 30th, these guys right here are the last they're the last people who got those 3% to 4% interest rates. They were locked in. We could assume that some of them were our summer shoppers that maybe they didn't get so lucky and they still closed at a higher interest rate, but they got into a house this year. When end of September hit and all these closings at the end of the month hit, the number of that demand line right there dropped off like by an insane amount. Like one day we had 944 homes under contract, and we dropped significantly down, dropped over 100 and it went down to 810 homes. So we dropped by 130 homes in a matter of less than a week. That were pending. Like I said, it's common to see it drop at the end of a month, but to see it drop in September like that is almost a direct result of those interest rates going up. And then you can see that for the first time since, let's say, since spring of 2020, when the pandemic first came out, for the first time, these two lines crossed again. So 2019, you had more homes available than homes were pending. We were still in what would be considered a balanced or a seller's market, but these lines have been so upside down from March or April of 2020 until 2022 because interest rates are low and everybody wanted to buy, but not a whole lot of inventory was out there. So what that did is it drove prices through the roof. And we saw in 2020, 2021 and 2022, we saw home prices go up by 16% every 12 months. So if you bought a house in 2020 and you sold it in 2022, you probably gained about 30 to 35% in home value in that period of time. So these two lines, right about, let's call it early October, they crossed again. And there's still now there's more homes available on the market than what is under contract. You can see that demand line is still falling here. And then here, this graph here that I'm showing, total on market versus the date. This is everything. This includes the homes that are pending. It includes the homes that are active that don't have offers on them yet. I call this line the seller intent line. And what that tells you, a buyer doesn't know a home's for sale until a seller puts it on the market or showcases it out there for everybody to buy. These are the homes that are showcased for everybody to buy. They may be under contract, they may not be. But this tells us what sellers are thinking in Northern Kentucky. So if you look at this line, you can pretty much lay this over any other year and get an idea of when, if you're a buyer, when are more homes going to be coming on the market. And I'm going to say it's probably right there in that late March, early April range. It's probably mirrors a lot of other markets around the country. So if you're a buyer, we're tracking this right here. It's 2023. I would say around the end of March, you're going to start to see more inventory. But let me tell you, if you're a seller in Northern Kentucky, and I want my marketing team to key in on this and make sure that people see this in particular. If you're a seller in Northern Kentucky, we're starting to see the inventory is so low. I'm going to the real estate auctions every single week to see how many buyers are out there buying this stuff. The inventory is still so low and buyers are still out there buying. I would get my house on the market if you can stomach it. Get it on the market before everybody else does. You're going to get a better price. Because once that inventory starts to climb in your market and the demand hasn't really shot through the roof yet, once that inventory starts to climb, that's when you're going to start seeing a little bit less money for your house. And I don't know what's going to happen, but if it's me and it's 2023, I'm going to try to beat the rest of the sellers to the market. And there. Here's another thing that you need to know. Everybody's asking, when is the next wave of foreclosures coming? I want a deal on a house. I'm looking to buy an investment property. When are we going to see more foreclosures? I've been to the real estate auctions in Kenton County for the last month. I went to the Boone County auction today. There was only one home auctioned off this week in Boone County. In Kenton County on Tuesday, there was only 4 homes auctioned off, and the bank bought back 3 out of the 4. So what does that tell us? There's not this big giant wave of foreclosures. Why? Why is there not a big giant wave of foreclosures right now? And it's because there's equity in these properties. If I'm not able to make my mortgage payment, I can put the house on the market and sell it, pay the bank off, pocket my money, and I can go rent somewhere if I've fallen on hard times. What's going to cause a big foreclosure wave is if people they don't have any equity. And what's going to cause equity is home prices to fall. And there's such low inventory that we're not seeing that. So if you're in Northern Kentucky and the stats that I'm looking at here and the market that we're looking at, there's no signs pointing to a foreclosure wave. I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, I think the fact that we're insulated with such low interest rates that a lot of people were going to stay in their home longer than they probably normally would because they're sitting on such a cheap mortgage rate. And in order to buy another home, their mortgage payment is going to jump so significantly that it just doesn't make sense for them to move. So I'm going to show you the first little bit of 2023. Today's the 12th, and I go in and track these every single day. Obviously, there's no sold data for January here for 2023 yet, but you can see we've kind of started tracking this stuff. This red line shows us the total number of properties that were on the market this time last year. Let's see here. As of today, it was about 1,304. Today, right now, we've got 1,236 properties on the market. So the inventory right now is even lower than it was this time last year. We just had a lot more buyers last year because the interest rates were so cheap. You know what? Let's throw it back to 2020 when I first started tracking this stuff. And you can see what was happening. And I'll show you. This is that mess of 2020. Like right around mid-March there, they announced social distancing. Everybody went into their homes. They were afraid to go out in public. People were shopping at the grocery store with gloves, and I saw somebody with like a plastic bag over their head because they were afraid of catching COVID. That was that. Like when we were all freaking out, and the real estate market was just like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. About a month later, when people started talking about wearing masks and distancing and that, you saw this giant increase of buyer demand. People were in their homes. They wanted better homes, and the Fed moved interest rates down to 0. People were picking up real estate like crazy. And those who didn't want to move were refinancing like crazy. And then the demand stayed incredibly low, driving those prices through the roof. So what you're looking at right here is that pandemic hit right there. And then the market took off. And you can see even through December of these months or of these years, even through December, you've got people pulling the trigger, buying houses left and right. 2021, we'll look at the same graph in 2021. So you can see the 2020 graph here, and then we scroll down, 2021. It is even like the bigger the gap you see between how many homes are on the market right now versus how many homes are pending right now, the bigger that gap is, the higher real estate prices are going. In 2021, it blew people's minds to see somebody paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over asking price. In some cases, there was 20 to 50% over what they were asking for this house. People were paying for it with cash. Where they found the cash, I have no idea. Maybe equity from another property or a relative, whatever. Paying this money with cash, no appraisal, no home inspection, and that. Which brings up my next point. I've talked to several other agents in the market, and we've noticed a trend of homes that are hitting the market right about now. We've noticed that a lot of people who bought homes in 2021 got caught up in a frenzy. They wanted to buy a home. They weren't finding what they were looking for, so they settled. They bought something that wasn't perfect for them. They got caught up in the moment. Fear of missing out happened, and they built a house or bought a house that they weren't in love with. So we're starting to see homes that people bought right here come back on the market. And they're going to move now into a home that they want to be closer, the real home that they really wanted. So keep an eye on that. If you have friends who maybe bought or moved in 2021, got a little overzealous, and they ended up settling in a house that they no longer love or care for, it might be their time to move this year. And with less demand in the market right now, you are probably going to have better luck as a buyer finding something that you're looking for because there's not as many buyers out there competing against it. The jury's still out on that, though. We are still only about 7 months post interest rate hike. So we're still trying to figure out this spring market, what's it going to look like? And right now, as of mid-January, it looks like we're going to have plenty of demand to overpower what inventory we have. So prices are going to stay stable. We're not getting into this way over asking price, no inspections, no appraisals commonly this year yet, but it wouldn't surprise me because I've heard some agents say that they've had multiple offers on their properties. But 2023 right now, we're sitting super tight on inventory. There's nothing out there. I will actually, I'm going to pop into our MLS here to show you. There's 700 homes that are active on the market right now. So let's just say, for example, you were looking for a house that was on the market. You're not interested in new construction. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna take out new construction. You guys are gonna get a little behind the scenes peek at our MLS here. No, we don't want any new construction. So that takes us, if we take out new construction, we go from 700 houses down to 420. That takes a giant chunk out of the market. So let's say that we were shopping, kind of around that. So the median sales price for last year was about $250,000 in our area. So let's just say that we want a house that is around that median sales price. Let's go 225 to 325. All right, let's see what's out there. There's only 118 homes available, and let's just say in that range, we want something that's not a condo. We want a single-family house. There's 103 homes available out of the 700 on the market. So let's check out those 103 homes that are available between 225 and 325. I'm willing to bet that there is a high days on market. Maybe, let's see here. So the average and median don't matter that much because we skewed the price down. But the average days on market is 56 with the median being 45. What that tells me is these homes that are priced between 225 and 325, they've been sitting for a while. they're overpriced. They either priced using, something. Who knows why they priced them so high, really. But they've been sitting on the market for a while. If you really get down and look at some of the days on market, 106 days. I mean, we went from a market where homes are selling in hours. The median days on market is 3 to 4 days, and some of the homes that are on the market right now have been picked over. All the good stuff gets snapped up, and the stuff that is overpriced or the condition doesn't match the price is getting left off to the wayside. So to go a little bit further here, let's go to the pending properties. There's 82 in that same category, right? So you've got between 225 and 325. There's 82 homes pending. So check this out. I'm willing to bet that the days on market for these is way lower because these are the ones that buyers are actually snapping up because they're priced right. So let's see here. Yep. So the median days on market goes from 45 down to 19. Average goes from 56 down to 31. So what this tells me is if you're about to sell a house in 2022, you need to be educated when it comes to pricing your house. You need to stage it. You need to make sure that you have a contractor or a handyman come through before you put it on the market. Change out some fixtures. Get the house ready so that if you're trying to appeal to buyers in a lower demand market, that they pick your house for more money and they don't pick over your house and go to your neighbor's house who they did take the time to price it right. They did fix the landscaping up, changed out some appliances. Buyers are choosing homes that are priced right, and they're getting more for their money today than they were in 2021 and 2020. So those are key points there. So going back to what we're seeing in today's market, active pending and sold properties, we're starting to see the units drop. And again, if I'm handing out advice to sellers right now, it would be get your house on the market before everybody else does. If I'm giving advice to buyers right now, it's go ahead and get pre-approved so you know what the rates are. I talked to a lender this morning, and that lender told me that rates are back down between the mid sixes to high sixes. So you can, if your credit's decent, probably going to be in that 6.375 if you're lucky, 6.875. Depending on how much your down payment is and so on. So 2022 market was not a bad market. I would say that we were kind of coming back down to earth from this pandemic buzz that we've had. We had a good 2-year run for sellers, a lot of equity made there. People made a bunch of money because interest rates were low, but we're back. Interest rates are more sustainable where they are right now. So we're going to have to settle into this period of paying some higher interest rates and making sure that we're marketing our houses appropriately. So buyers need to get pre-approved. Sellers need to make sure that they get their house ready and hit the market before the rest of the inventory does. We're not going to have, in my opinion, we're not going to have this flood of foreclosures because there's too much equity on the market right now. So this has been a 2022 market recap. Sorry for rambling, but there's just a lot of information there. I'm trying to dispel some of the comments and questions that I've had from people who are genuinely curious on what's going on in the market. I've got investors, wondering where in the heck can I find a deal? I'm looking to buy a rental property, or I want to buy something and fix it up and sell it. And it's hard right now because there's plenty of equity. People who can sell are selling and making their money, and nobody's giving properties away like a lot of people want. But that's good for those of us who own homes and want to stay in those homes and have decent, stable home values. We don't want this volatility. So thank you guys for watching. It's been the Real Estate Momentum Show. Check out our YouTube channel. We put all of our podcast episodes on there. Go on there and subscribe to our podcast. If you're in any way curious about real estate, specifically in Northern Kentucky, or if you're a real estate agent who wants to learn about how to grow your business across the country, it'd be great to have you on the YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.